Hey folks, it's Marc Gallagher here, just giving a quick look at my current electric guitar pedal board for now. We're going to be looking at the pedals that I have, what I use this for and why, and also what changes I would like to make. So firstly, what am I using this board for? Basically, I'm mainly playing at home, but I'm also recording for myself and for other people's projects, and also I'm available to dep as a guitarist in a band. This board kind of functions as a utility board with sounds that kind of compel and inspire me. For the purposes of this video, I am using my Telecaster going into a Fender Blues Junior that's mic'd with an SM57. These are the settings. Here's what I sound like currently. I'm on my neck pickup. Bridge. That's volume and tone all the way up. Let's have a look through this in signal order. First up is a tuner by Dyna. Nothing special, it was just a little eBay purchase. I think it was 20 quid or something like that. It tunes and it mutes the signal. Nothing further to be said there. It's not quite fancy like a strobe, like a Boss, but it does what I need it to do. It's a nice simple little thing. Next up is my least favorite pedal on this board. It's the Big Muff Pi Tone Wicker. So let's take a look firstly. It's a Big Muff and this is what it sounds like. So yeah, it's a Big Muff. It's got a couple of switches on. The tone switch, which takes the tone circuit out of the pedal. And this just leaves for a very bolder, bigger sound, as well as a lot more volume. And then you've also got the Wicker switch, which basically adds in a bunch of treble at the end, because a common complaint of a Big Muff is the loss of top end. I say that I'm not the biggest fan of this pedal, and that's because I'm not really the biggest fan of fuzz. At the moment, every time I'm using it and playing it, it feels like the sound just kind of is on top of me and it's a bit overbearing. There's too much volume and too much gain. Even at low settings, I'm still struggling to be in control of the sound. It's one that I got for my birthday last year just as a way to treat myself because I thought we all need to have fuzz in some way. But equally, it's a bit of a ball ache and I'm yet to currently find what I love about this pedal. It's there in case I need it, but at the moment I'm really struggling with it. What I struggle with this pedal is that no matter what guitar or what amp I'm using, it still sounds like a big muffy fuzzy mess, you know? And that can be a bit challenging because I like my pedals to still maintain the characteristic of the guitar and the amp that it's going through. Next along is the Amoon Dyna compressor. I think this is based on an MXR Dyna comp, but that's just me spitballing. This one I just got quickly from Stylus Your Guitar in Ashton Under Line because I needed a compressor pedal of some kind. I like this pedal because it's just a way of getting your sound, but more of it. When it's used for clean sounds, I really like it as a way of just filling out your finger-picked stuff. What I also really like about this pedal is when you use it to feed an overdrive. So I've got one half of my Paisley Deluxe on. Here's a bass tone of that. Here's a compressor. Next up is the Klon Centaur clone. I'm not sure if this £20 Facebook Marketplace purchase is, great or even comparable to the Klon Centaur original. That being said, I like it, and I know that I like it. And that's what I really like about this pedal. Usually Klon style pedals are used as boosts. However, I was told from watching the video of JHS, Josh Scott, JHS Pedals, saying that the magic diodes, as it were, that make the Klon so great, they're not used and they're not in effect if your gain is, 11 o'clock or under. So I like to push my Klon a little bit more into drive territory. Love that sound. But it's also really nice when you're like picking gently. At the moment, I've got my volume on full, but when I pick really gently, the pedal responds to it nicely. And then I can just roll off my volume knob. Really, really enjoy that. Next after this is the MXR Ten Band EQ. I mainly got this because my power supply has an 18-volt output, which I needed to make use of. Used in isolation, this pedal is nice at sort of just bringing out a bit more aggression in my guitar, at least with how I've got it set up. I've got this set in between two drives, so it can either complement and clean up the Klon after it's been doing what it's doing, or I can have it clean up the blues driver just before it actually hits it. I'm going to try a little look at both of those. Here's the Klon without the EQ. You get a little bit more balls out of that Klon. Blues driver with EQ. Next on this is the Boss Blues Driver Wazacraft, the BD2W. This is probably like my favorite drive pedal that we got. I love how versatile it is, how understated it can be while still preserving the essence of what your guitar is, but also giving it a nice bit of grit, at least with how I've set it with a relatively low gain. I got the Wazacraft version of this as an upgrade from my the regular version because I found it a bit tighter sounding, having a bit less fizz. I've got it set in the custom mode, which is basically the Keeley mod. It adds a bunch of bass to kind of compensate for some of the loss in low end that you can sometimes get. I'll do a quick side-by-side of the standard versus custom mode. And probably my favorite sound on this board and of this rig is when I have my Klon feeding the blues driver. It makes me smile every time. After this, we have the Wampler Paisley Deluxe. I've got on my power supply a 12-volt out, which needed filling, and this pedal does between 9 and 18 volts, so it works quite nicely. In addition, Brad Paisley is one of my favorite guitarists, so I wanted to get this pedal, especially getting the Deluxe version, having an extra drive circuit gives me more choice. Channel 1 is based on the now discontinued Wampler Underdog pedal. It sounds like this. And channel 2 is based on the Wampler Paisley drive pedal, which is itself based off of an Ibanez Tube Screamer. I really like that drive because I'm a bit partial to some tube screamers because I also really like Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I love what that does in terms of its mid-range hump, especially to a Telecaster. You can also switch up the order of this. So right now I've got the Paisley going into the Underdog, and it sounds like. By having these 4 different drive pedals to choose from, as well as a big muff for the fuzz element, there's a lot of blending of gains like that I can do here, and that's not also taken into account. I've got pretty small amps. Blues Junior, it's only, I think, 15 watts, so you can break the amp up itself really easily. No pedals. That distortion is coming from the amp itself, so when that's pushed by these gains pedals as well, you get some really nice sounds out of that. Next up is the Stagg Blaxx delay. It's very simple in terms of how I've set it up, and it does exactly what I want it to do. So here it is without. I really like this delay pedal because of how I set this up. I like my delays as a really short slap back, just a little bit of ambience really, and this pedal does that wonderfully. If I wanted more effecty delays, like the U2 dotted 8th note kind of thing, I can achieve that with this pedal, but I'd much rather use a different delay pedal while still having this one on. I usually, when I am playing, this delay is acting as an always on. It's set really subtly so that you don't necessarily notice it that much when it's there, but you miss it when it's gone. Doesn't have the same life to it. After this, we have a chorus pedal, namely the Boss Chorus Ensemble, the CE5. I've burnt through a couple of different chorus pedals and I didn't like them because one had grounding issues and the other, it didn't have like a blend option. It was a bit like either on and in your face or nothing at all. That's why I ended up getting the Chorus Ensemble, the CE5. It's got a blend knob in the form of the level, which is not a level of your direct signal, but the level of the effect separately. That means that I can dial it in with a bit more subtlety. It does exactly what I want it to do. It's nice and subtle. I don't use it too much, but when I do use it, especially as I'm blending it alongside drive tones, you can get some really cool stuff going on. And lastly in the chain, we've got one of my favorite effects in the form of tremolo, namely this Marshall Vibratrem. This is permanently set on into the tremolo position. And as you can see by my settings, I really like to treat this very subtly. It just gives a little bit of a wobble without being too choppy. It's not too effecty. And I use that and the delay with how subtle they are. I just have those as always on things. And then I might throw something else on to support it, like the chorus, like one of the drives. But yes. The Vibratrem also works really nicely on single note lines besides just the chordal stuff. Now that we've looked through the pedals individually, let's try and combine some of them and get a couple sounds out of them. So, stick on my always on in the tremolo and the delay, and let's throw in the compressor to support my Klon. And that's going to give us something like this. Add the chorus into this and you get a lot of fun. Let's throw the EQ in just because. Let's just use a Boss Blues driver with the delay. I've been doing this video so far with just the neck pickup. When I throw the bridge in, we get something different. While we're on this very twangy territory, let's throw in the Wampler Paisley as part of that. Use the Paisley side. Let's see if I can make the big muff sound any good. Throw a delay in. Let's throw tremolo as well. Lastly, let's do the compressor, supporting the Wampler Paisley, also going into the chorus. I mentioned at the start of this video that this is my pedalboard for now. It will change. What changes do I want to make? I want to kind of throw a few pedals on here as part of the ensemble. I'd really like to get a blues breaker style drive, maybe the Wampler Pantheon or Pantheon Deluxe, so I can get two drives in one. I'd be interested in getting a Wampler Tumnus, or Tumnus Deluxe even, more EQ options. What I like is the Tumnus is basically regarded as one of the best Klon style pedals you can get besides the Klon itself. It would be interesting to see how the Tumnus would compare with my own Klon pedal, but honestly, I still really like mine. Maybe I'd find the Tumnus better, but honestly, I still really like what I have. Maybe I'd have both of them. I also want a tube screamer. Yes, I know I've got the Paisley, which is based on a tube screamer, but also it's different, and I'd like to get a more standard tube screamer style circuit. Namely, I think it's a Japanese company called Gojira, which make pedals, TS-808 and also Big Muff, and they put them in these insane enclosures. And I really want a Mr. Sparkle from The Simpsons Tube Screamer pedal. My mum once pointed out to me, Mark, your audience aren't going to see this though. This is just going to be for you. And that makes me want it even more, just knowing that I've got this Simpsons Mr. Sparkle pedal on my board and no one else knows. I think that's really cool. I'm also really interested at the JHS Colorbox, which is a Neve 1073 style preamp. I would be interested in putting that maybe on the end of my chain so I could get more of a studio sheen out of it. But also that's very wishful thinking. I'm also interested in getting a second delay pedal to use for more effecty kind of delay, rather than the slapback that I have as my always on. It would be nice to have a second delay for my dotted eighth notes or something like that. And also, most pressingly, I'd like a loop switcher of some kind. At the moment, my pedal board is kind of set up in series. All the pedals are feeding into each other, and my signal is going through all of them before it gets to my amp. What a loop switcher would do is it would take your pedals, put them into their own loop, so that only when you've got one loop on, it's going to that pedal and nothing else. I'm sold on the logic of it, and I'd like the idea of getting something like a gig rig Quartermaster, but also looking at the state of my board, getting any of these means that I would just have to upgrade my board and power supply. Do I need any of this now? Absolutely not. Would it be nice to have in the future for more gigs, more recording opportunities, and just inspiring and fulfilling me? That would also be quite fun. And speaking of fun, like, that's how this process has been for me. I've been playing guitar for a while, but I really got into it this past year and started to enjoy the hobby of it again. And yes, I've got a Boss ME80, which has all my effects, but this is more fun. It gives me the sounds that I wanted, and it gives me the ability to blend multiple overdrives together. It gives me a bit more creative freedom, and there's just a lot of fun in collecting and buying and trying out new pedals and discovering that world. It's been really gratifying for me. My name is Marc Gallagher, and this has been a look at my electric guitar pedal board thus far. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to support me more, then you can follow me on your social media of choice at Marc Gallagher Music. And if you want to pay money, then consider going to patreon.com/Marc Gallagher Music and supporting me there. Until next time, my name is Marc Gallagher. Like the video if you want, share it if you feel compelled to, and follow me on places. I'll see you soon.